You open the app. You swipe for a few minutes. You close it. Then you open it again 5 seconds later. You were not looking for anything different. You just could not stop. And somewhere in the back of your mind, you wonder why dating feels so exhausting now. Not just hard. Exhausting. Like you are always searching, but never quite arriving. Think about the last time you genuinely looked forward to a first date. Not the nervous kind of excitement. The real kind. The kind where you actually believed something good might happen. For a lot of people, that feeling is getting harder to find, and what replaced it is something quieter, a low-level dread dressed up as optimism. Most people blame themselves. They think they are too picky, or not attractive enough, or too busy, or too broken from the last one. But here is something worth noticing. Almost everyone around you feels the same way. Your friends feel it. The people you match with feel it. Even the people who seem to be doing everything right feel it. So maybe this is not about you. Maybe something larger is happening. And the strange part is, most people cannot fully name what it is. You have probably noticed a few things lately. Someone texts you first. The conversation feels exciting for about 2 days. Then it slowly fades into nothing. No fight. No reason. Just silence. Or maybe you go on a date. It goes well enough. You laugh a few times. You feel something small and hopeful. And then you never hear from them again. Not because anything went wrong, just because it did not go perfectly. Or maybe you are the one pulling away. You meet someone nice. Genuinely nice. But you keep the phone face up on the table. You find yourself half present, half somewhere else, and you do not fully understand why. These things feel random at first, but they are not random at all. There is a moment a lot of people have had. You are lying in bed. It is late. You are talking to 3 different people on 3 different apps. None of the conversations feel real, and you have this strange feeling, like you are surrounded by options but somehow more alone than before. Like the more you search, the further away connection feels. That feeling has a reason, and we are going to get there. But first, think about how we even got here. Not long ago, meeting someone meant something. You met them through your life. A friend introduced you. You kept running into each other somewhere, and there was already a small shared world between you. That world mattered more than people realized. It meant you already had context. You already had a reason to give things time. Because walking away was not just a swipe. It meant walking away from a part of your actual life. Now that friction is almost entirely gone. And friction, it turns out, was doing something important. Today you can open an app and see hundreds of faces in 20 minutes. Each one is a person who could potentially change your life. Or so the feeling goes. But something strange happens when there are too many options. The mind stops treating each one as a real possibility. It starts treating them like a catalog. And you do not grieve a catalog. You just flip to the next page. Researchers have a name for this. They call it the paradox of choice, and the idea that more options often lead to less satisfaction, not more. But modern dating does not just give you more options. It gives you infinite options. Always refreshing. Always presenting someone new. And the mind was never built for that. Here is where things get interesting. Every time you open a dating app, something very specific is happening in your brain. You get a small hit of anticipation. Just enough to keep you scrolling. Just enough to make you feel like the right person might be one more swipe away. This is not an accident. This is design. The same design behind every app that has ever made you lose track of time. Variable rewards, unpredictable outcomes, the same basic mechanism as a slot machine. And this is not a metaphor. The people who built these platforms understood exactly what they were doing. And they were not building tools for connection. They were building systems for engagement. And engagement and connection are not the same thing. Not even close. But that is not the strange part. The strange part is what this does over time. Because when your brain learns to expect that hit of anticipation, it starts to find real connection less interesting by comparison. Real connection is slow. It is uncertain in a different way. It does not give you that clean little dopamine spike. It asks you to be patient. It asks you to stay when things are just okay and not exciting. And for a brain trained on infinite swipes, just okay starts to feel like not enough. Think about the last person you stopped talking to. Not because they were terrible, but because the spark did not feel strong enough. And because there was not that instant electric certainty. Now ask yourself honestly, would you have felt that way 10 years ago? Before the apps, before the endless scroll, before you had spent years conditioning yourself to expect instant chemistry. Most people, if they are honest, are not sure. And that uncertainty is worth sitting with. There is something else happening alongside this. Something that does not get talked about enough. Modern dating has turned people into products, not intentionally, not cruelly, just structurally. You build a profile. You choose your best photos. You write a version of yourself that is appealing but not too much, interesting but approachable, unique but relatable. And then you put that version out into a market. And the market responds with likes or silence, with matches or nothing. That's after a while, you stop thinking of that profile as a representation of yourself. You start thinking of it as your performance, and you start optimizing the performance instead of showing up as a person. This creates a very specific kind of loneliness, not the loneliness of being alone, the loneliness of being seen but not known, of getting attention without getting understanding. You can have 10 conversations going at once and still feel completely invisible, because none of those conversations are reaching you. They are reaching the version of you that got approved for the market. And here is the quiet part. After a while, you start to forget the difference. And this is where things get interesting. Because this pattern does not stay inside the apps. It starts to reshape how people behave in real life, too. People go on dates already prepared to feel disappointed. Not because they are cynical, because they have been trained by hundreds of small disappointments. Conversations that went nowhere. Matches that never replied. Dates that felt like job interviews. So they hold back. They protect themselves. They stay a little distant, a little guarded, just in case. And the person sitting across from them does the exact same thing. Two people being carefully guarded with each other, both wondering why the connection does not feel real. There is a word for what is disappearing. It is called tolerance for ambiguity, the ability to stay in something uncertain without needing to resolve it immediately. Old relationships used to require it. You liked someone. You were not sure if they liked you back. You waited. You paid attention. But you let something develop slowly without knowing the ending. That waiting was uncomfortable, but it was also where most of the meaning lived. Now the impulse is to resolve everything immediately, to define what this is right away, or to move on to the next option. Because the next option is always right there, one tap away. And slowly, without realizing it, people are losing their ability to let things grow. Not because they do not want deep connection. Every person you know wants deep connection. but because the environment they are practicing in every day is rewarding the opposite. Speed over patience, novelty over familiarity, performance over presence. You cannot practice one thing for years and then suddenly do another. The habits you build in small moments become the habits you carry everywhere. Chito, think about the way people talk about dating now. The language has changed. People say they are tired, burned out, done with it. Dating burnout is a real thing people describe now. Not people who have been through something traumatic, just ordinary people who have been searching for a while. And the burnout is a signal. It is the mind saying something is wrong with the structure, not with you, with the structure. Here is something worth noticing about your own habits. Think about the last time you were on a date and felt genuinely curious about the other person, not evaluating them, not measuring them against some internal checklist, just genuinely curious. That kind of curiosity requires a quiet mind, a mind that is not running comparisons in the background, a mind that is not half wondering if someone better is out there. And that quiet is getting harder to find, because the system is designed to keep the comparison running. Always. There is something almost invisible happening to expectations. Not in a dramatic way. Quietly. Every curated profile you see is someone's highlight reel. Their best photos. Their most interesting line. Their sharpest version. And after seeing thousands of highlight reels, your brain starts to treat them as normal, as the baseline, as what a real person looks like. So when you sit across from an actual human being with all their awkwardness and ordinariness and complexity, something feels off. Not because they are lacking, but because they are real. And real stopped feeling like enough. This is the part that is easy to miss. Nobody chose this. Nobody decided to become harder to impress. Yet nobody decided to stop being patient. It happened gradually, one small behavioral shift at a time, shaped by an environment that was very carefully built to produce exactly this outcome. Not out of malice, out of business logic. Because the longer you feel like the right person is still out there, the longer you keep using the app. Your dissatisfaction is the product. Your longing is what keeps the whole thing running. So where does that leave you? Not with a clean answer. There is no clean answer here, but maybe with a slightly different way of seeing the familiar feeling. That low restlessness after a scroll session. That vague deflation after a date that was fine, but not magical. That quiet exhaustion you feel on Sunday night when you are swiping again. Those feelings are not evidence that you are broken, but they are evidence that something around you is working exactly as designed. There is something almost tender about the whole thing, when you look at it clearly. Millions of people, genuinely wanting connection. Genuinely trying. All of them working very hard inside a system that profits from the gap between where they are and where they want to be. All of them slightly convinced that the problem is personal, when the problem is structural. That does not make the loneliness any smaller, but it does change where you aim your frustration. You will probably open the app again tonight, or tomorrow, or sometime this week. And maybe that is fine. Maybe it is not fine. That part is genuinely up to you. But next time you open it, you might notice something you did not notice before. That small pull of anticipation in your chest. Again, that feeling that the right person is one more swipe away. And maybe, just for a second, you will recognize what that feeling is, and where it comes from, and who benefits from it. You started this video with a quiet feeling. Something about modern dating feels wrong, but you could not fully name it. Maybe you still cannot name it perfectly. but something has shifted. Just a little. Just enough. And sometimes that is exactly where understanding begins.